individually.
That's not true.
But when those choices...
That's not true. Homosexuality, for example, in many Muslim countries, homosexuality
is illegal
and
it's
punishable
illegal
by death or violence.
Yeah, that's
right.
So
if somebody happens
no,
to be born with a particular...
It's not punished by death, by the way. I don't know which country you're talking about.
It's in the Sharia law, and just recently the Sultan of Brunei said we won't actually enforce it because people stopped staying in the Dorchester Hotel, right? But he said he's going to enforce it. And in other countries, my understanding is Iran, for example, it's enforced in Iran.
Okay.
And I think
if
even Pakistan,
if a society,
if I'm gay and I go with my gay boyfriend and I stay in a hotel and everybody knows and there were witnesses, I don't know whatever, I can be punished.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Let's talk about it. A very good point. You're raising very intelligent questions, and we want to address them. If someone wants to be homosexual in a Muslim state, in a Muslim country, you can be homosexual in your home. Do what you want, okay? Do it however you want. 100%. The moment you bring it in public and you want other people to be like you, then there is a law. Islam, you see, Islamic societies are based upon a divine law. We believe in a divine law. We do not have the power to change it. That law cannot be changed because we believe it is from God. God created us. He gave us a law to live by. Let me finish. Okay, in that law, if there's a clause that you cannot do X, Y, and Z, we have to live by that. We can't be hypocrites. We can't pick and choose. Wait,
hang on a second. I understand that you and other Muslims believe what they want to believe about God and divine law. The problem is there's 7.5 billion people on the planet, right? And we potentially could all believe different things. And the question is, what right do you have, right, to enforce by violence, right, your belief system about divine law on someone else, another Muslim, a member of your family, a non-Muslim? What right do you have to do that?
I'll tell you.
You're entitled to your belief, and you and your friends who want to believe can hang out together, whatever. But like when someone's born into the world, what right do you have? And before you answer the question, I want to just come back to my original question, which you didn't really answer. You told me that Surah 60, blah, blah, blah. I'm just telling you that when I read the Quran, right, I know that you just told me that there is a verse somewhere in the Quran that says we should be kind and not.
Let me
there are
very
many
quickly.
other verses which seem to suggest, right, on
you
the face of it,
fight disbelievers.
Disbelievers, right? The word disbeliever, which could mean your enemy, it could mean your son, it could mean your neighbor. I don't know what it means.
It could mean your wife.
It's on every word.
It could mean your wife, your uncle.
It could mean your uncle. It's like,
so when you read
that, I'm reading the book. I'm going, when's God going to get over the whole?
Let me respond to your questions.
If God wants us to believe so much, why don't we have more signs? Because we don't have a lot. We have an amazing universe, but we have very little information about the nature of the divine. In fact, you say God divine. You know, God is.
You're raising a number of points, and let me respond to two of the points you raised. Can we enforce our?
I'm going to go home in 2 minutes.
No problem. Can we enforce our ways on others? Absolutely not. In Islam, we are not allowed as Muslims to impose our laws upon the Jews and the Christians. Because they were
Hindus?
Not even Hindus.
Okay.
For example, throughout the Islamic civilization, Jews existed with Muslims
as dhimmi.
Okay, what does dhimmi mean?
Dhimmi means they didn't have full independence and equality.
Well, you
didn't have quality.
You have a misconception. There were Jewish prime ministers in Spain. Did you know that under Islamic rule, there were Jewish prime ministers, at least two of them, Hazda ibn Shaprut.
You're bringing out a good example. In Iraq, they weren't Jewish prime ministers.
Okay.
And people had to pay a tax. They had to pay a jizz.
You can't have a Jewish prime minister everywhere, can you?
Sorry?
You can't have a Jewish prime minister everywhere, can you?
You seem to be denying a historical story, which I heard, which I believe. Hang on a second. I'm saying there are instances where there are two Jewish prime ministers, but there are many other instances.
If you let me answer your question.
Christians and Jews.
If you let me answer your point.
Second-class citizens in Muslim-majority countries.
First of all, in the Middle Ages, let me explain very quickly. In the Middle Ages, there was no such thing as the second-class citizens. There were Jewish citizens, there were Christian citizens, and there were Muslim citizens. All of them lived by their own rules and their laws. The Jews had their Beth Dins, their own courts. The Christians had their bishops governing their societies. Muslims had their qadis. Okay, you don't believe me? Just pick up any basic history book on Ottomans and non-Muslims, or Al-Andalus and non-Muslims. You will see how Jews lived their own lives according to their rules, and there was no mullah standing on top of their heads with a sword. You don't do Sharia, we will chop you. No, there was nothing like that. That's the conception you have been fed with by international media and by the international Islamophobia
Well,
industry.
to be
Let me
fair,
finish. Let me finish.
Islamophobia has been
Sorry.
spread by
Let me
extremist
finish.
Muslims.
Let me finish.
In the media.
Islamophobia has been spread by two extremist entities: Western politicians and Muslim terrorists. I'll tell you why. Because this is a war between Western politicians who are terrorists and Muslim terrorists who are also terrorists, right? This is a war between them. Who are the victims? We, the Muslims, the majority, right? So how are the Western politicians terrorists? People like Tony Blair, I believe he's a terrorist. Okay. I believe Jeremy Corbyn recently said he should be in Hague for war crimes. He caused the war in Iraq, and that war produced ISIS. ISIS is a product. Okay, so how am I, Sheikh Mohammed or Joe or Terry or George, responsible for that?
I'll tell you how.
Yeah.
You're not responsible for it at all.
Oh, we are Muslims. We are standard Muslims.
You're a victim of it, but I'm not saying you're responsible. What I'm saying is, right, that the ISIS, which came out of the deposed regime of Saddam Hussein,
ISIS came out as a reaction to Iraq invasion.
Yes,
and
they successfully used Islamic texts.
Let me talk.
Hang on a second.
I'm Muslim Kurdish.
Yes.
Who killed the ISIS? Who killed
Fine,
ISIS?
the Kurds. Very good.
Yeah.
So,
The Kurds.
I'm Muslim.
Yeah.
Very nice. I'm saying that they successfully used Quranic ideas and Islamic texts and Islamic laws, yes, through their disgusting interpretation of Islam, right? And
Wait.
they said our terrorism, this is our understanding of Islam, and they found succor in the text of the Quran, the same text that you read.
So tell me, which text in the Quran allows the killing of innocent people?
Well,
ISIS has been killing innocent people. Tell me which text, which verse in the Quran, even indirectly allows the killing of innocent people.
Okay, let me ask you a question, because I'm not familiar enough with the Quran.
I am.
Is there no text in the Quran which has something to the effect of disbelievers shall be killed?
X, Y, and Z.
Killed. Doesn't say that anywhere in the Quran.
No. Disbelievers, those disbelievers who fight you, Quran says.
No, forget about the fight. They just says they don't believe, then you kill them.
No. There's no such thing.
By the way, even disbelievers who fight you, so you can say anyone you don't like fights you.
Let me respond to your point very quickly. The Quran.
I've got to go. Are you here every Sunday?
Last point before you go.
Yeah.
The Quran has many verses on peace, on war, on diplomacy, on wives, on children, on orphans, on society at large. Right. Quran is a book of law. Like the Torah for the Jewish people, the Quran is for us. It is a book of law. It has rules on everything. So how do we actually practice the Quran? By following the Quran and the prophetic example. Prophet told us, in the light of the Quran, when you are in conflict, when you have been attacked and you have to defend yourselves, okay, do not kill women, do not kill children, do not kill non-combatants, do not cut trees, do not destroy crops, do not demolish buildings, do not kill monks, do not kill elderly. All of these rules are there in the teachings of Prophet Muhammad in the light of the Quran. So Quran tells us what? In chapter 2, verse 190, 191 and 192. Quran tells us, fight those who fight you and drive you out of your homes. Fight, defend yourselves. وَلَا تَعْتَدُوا, and do not transgress limits. What is transgression?
I've got to go.
What I just told you. Very nice talking to you. Thank you so much.
I have a quick question, because you ask him a lot.
He's got to go.
One question to you.
Yeah.
Quick answer.
Him to leave. He's got
Quick answer.
You want to do my daughter's homework?
No, one. I will. Look,
it was very nice talking to you.
What do you
very
think
nice
about,
talking
are you
to
here
you.
every Sunday?
Almost.
What do you think about Israel doing now to Gaza? Are you aware about it?
I have only 2 words to say about that.
About what?
Okay. It's complicated.
You see?
Yeah. But I
imagine if the Nazis were saying that about the Jewish people.
Sorry, Adnan, that's come back.
Imagine if they were saying that. You want to come in now?
On that point,
Okay.
you literally just compared Israel. You compared Israel, to that. So just to establish some facts, the Nazis massacred 6 million Jews. We'd have no disagreement on
Yes.
that. A barbaric, horrendous regime.
Absolutely.
They stuck them in concentration camps and killed them.
Absolutely.
Now, whatever's happening in Israel and Palestine, Israel, Gaza, West Bank, call them the areas what you want. There is not a genocide of 6 million Palestinians.
No, it's not.
The Palestinian population is growing every single year.
Okay. So you're saying one entity has to commit genocide for it to be evil.
I'm saying, so I could say
Yeah.
that the Muslims are like Nazis.
Okay.
And if I said that, you'd expect me to bring a burden of proof.
Yes.
And I'd stumble, and I wouldn't be able to show you any of it because there is no history of the Muslims
Let me
trying to
explain.
massacre
Let
the
me
Jews.
explain. I don't think
Like,
it's,
just
I don't
genocide
think
them,
I
kill
don't
them.
think the state of Israel is like Nazis. It has its own evil ways to do things. Every example is unique in its way. Genghis Khan, we can't do a comparison between Genghis Khan and the Nazis. We can't do a comparison between, for example, Tamerlane or Crusaders and the Nazis. They were all evil in their own unique way. Likewise, every apartheid state in the world, whether it was South Africa or whether it was the American South in the 19th century or whether it is Israel today, some academics, as you are well aware, actually believe that Israel is actually an apartheid state. There are Western politicians who are saying the same thing. They believe this. There is a lot of hoo-ha about this. There's a lot of noise about this. If you criticize the state of Israel, people accuse you of anti-Semitism, which is very, very wrong. Okay, being anti-Semitic and being anti-Israeli policies are two different things. If you are anti-Israeli policies in Palestine, you're not anti-Semitic. You're not against the Jewish people. You are against what Israel as a state is doing to the Palestinian people.
You're running around a lot, but let's just stick on one thing. So the Nazis and apartheid. So your analogy, the apartheid analogy is a great one.
Yes.
In apartheid South Africa, there was segregation between blacks and whites. They couldn't drink from the same water fountains. They couldn't attend the same educational institutions.
Yes.
In Israel, Arabs have complete equality with Jews. And Arab judges have sent Jewish prime ministers and Jewish presidents to jail. There is not one Muslim country in the world where a Jewish judge has sent a Muslim prime minister, a Muslim caliph, or a Muslim president to jail. The analogy of apartheid is objectively false, and you will not be able to find one example of any apartheid laws within Israel.
Okay, let's talk about the reality on the ground. Are you aware of the restrictions, or are you aware on the restrictions on the Palestinian people? How they cannot move around freely, how the people of Gaza cannot leave at will, they cannot get treatment, and Gaza is a concentration camp. It is a giant concentration camp with how many people are there in Gaza? What's the population of Gaza?
3 million.
I don't know how many. Sorry?
It's under 3, it's under 2.
It's okay, 2 million.
So
okay.
they're reducing every year.
And Israel has recently bombed residential areas, deliberately target. Why do I say deliberately?
Let's stick on the apartheid, then we can go on to the bombing.
Yeah.
So you mentioned freedom of movement, which is a very fair point.
Yeah.
And so if you're a Palestinian living in Gaza, you're absolutely right. There are restrictions on movement. If you're a Palestinian living in the West Bank...
No, they cannot leave.
So let me finish.
Yeah, they're confined.
Adnan, I listen to you. Just please give me the same courtesy.
Yeah.
So with Gaza has 2 borders.
Yeah.
Israel and Hamas have been at war since the 80s. Israel and Gaza have been at war since basically 67. Israel and the Egyptians, who conquered it beforehand, have been at war since the 48. Israel has basically been at war with that region for the last 71 years. Yeah? Gaza has 2 borders. It has one with Israel and one with Egypt. There is no freedom of movement between Egypt and Gaza, which are basically the same people. They're both Arabs. Al-Masri is one of the most common surnames in Gaza, which means the Egyptian. And so if any nation were to give freedom of movement to the Palestinians that were living in Gaza, it wouldn't be Israel, because Israel is at war with Gaza. It would be Egypt, because they're the same family.
Good point.
And so my point is, it's very easy to blame Israel for everything.
Have you been to Gaza?
I've been to the crossing. I've been to the Erez crossing. I can't go inside.
I've been to Gaza.
Which year?
2009.
Was that within Nepal?
When Gaza was bombed,
yes,
and many people died, I took aid to Gaza. I only went as a humanitarian aid worker, and I delivered aid, and I saw the destruction with my own eyes, and I saw what the Egyptians did to the people of Gaza. Now, you make a very good point. It should be the Egyptians, the Muslim brothers of the people of Gaza, who should... But is Egypt an independent state currently in the Middle East?
So I would say it is as sovereign as Israel is.
No,
sovereign.
it's not. It's not.
Okay,
Egypt, I know for a fact, orders come directly from Israel to Egyptians. Egyptians are told,
They say that the soldiers, they cannot hold even their own weapons.
Yes, they can't. They can't. You see, the Egyptian people, if